Hello and welcome back. This is my quick start guide to Davinci Resolve. I hope this is helpful for those getting into editing for the first time. This is obviously not exhaustive and there is so much to learn. Go to the Blackmagic Design website and find the download section. I have put a link in the description. If you are just trying out Davinci Resolve, make sure you download the free version, which is just called Davinci Resolve 18. This is the latest release. You may have to register some information here. Run the install file and follow the instructions. Once installed, start Davinci Resolve. You will be loaded into the Project Manager screen. Create a new project by clicking New Project and giving it a name. After creating your project, you will typically land in the Cut page. For importing and organizing media, it is often best to go to the Media page where you can browse your computer's drives and import media. To do this, go to the location of your file such as video, images and audio. Here I'm using a Blackmagic Design tutorial pack which has all videos required. You can either drag and drop into your media bin or you can right-click and import. Note, when you import media it will go into the master bin. But you can set up sub-bins if you want to organize media. For example, you might have a bin for audio, one for video and one for images, etc. On the lower right-hand side there is a settings cog. Here you can set up some project settings such as the timeline resolution. Also you can look at the Fairlight tab. If you are exporting for YouTube, then you will want to set the LUFS value to -14. This stands for Loudness Units Full Scale. In a later section we will talk briefly about mastering audio so it plays at the right loudness on YouTube. I find it also a good idea to turn on Live Save. This effectively saves every time you make a change. To find this, go to Davinci Resolve Preferences. Change to the User tab at the top, then Project Save and Load, tick the Live Save tick box. I believe this is on by default but worth checking. Now you have your media imported and your settings done, go to the Edit page. Here you will find your media browser and effects browser which are opened and closed with these buttons at the top. Usually non-linear editors have a source viewer and timeline viewer. The source is where you load your media, play it back and decide how much of the clip you need. You can define an in and out point here using the letter I and the letter O. Of course you can drag the whole clip onto your timeline if you want to. The timeline viewer is the output from your timeline once you have cut everything together. Note, when there is no timeline, when you drag a clip on a timeline will be created automatically and will be placed in the master bin. You can create multiple timelines if you want and you can move them to other bins if you want to stay organized. Once you have defined the in and out points, you can drag and drop the video onto your timeline or you can use the buttons at the top of your timeline to add the clip. You can also elect to bring the video and audio, video only or audio only by selecting these appropriate indicators when you drag and drop. Side note, typically there is a central point of the timeline. Above is your video tracks and below is your audio tracks. Once your footage is on the timeline, you can adjust the length of the clip by using these handles to lengthen or shorten the clip as appropriate. Now let's add two clips one after the other. Between these two clips we can add a transition. Go to your effects library and find the transition section. To add a transition, just drag and drop to the appropriate cut. Note in this case I can't add it because I require some time at the end of clip 1 and the beginning of clip 2 to add it. Therefore I will need to draw the handles in on both clip 1 and 2, like this. I'm now able to add a transition. With the transition select you can usually find some additional control options in the inspector on the right hand side. I won't go into detail but have a play and see what works best. Next we'll look at titles. Go back to the effects library and find the titles folder. You can drag and drop the title onto your timeline. There are basic titles or there are some pre-made title effects that you can use. If you want the title displayed over your video, just make sure to drag above your video onto a new video layer. A new video layer is created automatically when you add a new clip or title above. Within the inspector you will be able to see all the controls for text including what you want displayed, font, color and size amongst other things. Some additional functions to remember. This is your timeline zoom function. The first is called full extent zoom. Click this and it will zoom out to show your entire timeline. The second is detailed zoom. Click this and it will zoom into where your playhead currently is. The third is custom zoom and allows you to zoom in and out to the required length using the slider to the side. Go now to the Fairlight page. This is the built-in audio page of Davinci Resolve, which allows you to monitor audio and make further adjustments. You will see a viewer at the top right to see your video. The tracks are representations of all your audio tracks as well as the bus track, which is effectively the final mix output of your audio. Using these three dots on the meter, you can change these three items to set up the monitoring. Tick the lock metering to transport option. Tick the absolute scale option. Select the BS 1770-4 standard from the list. This is the latest version of an algorithm that measures audio program loudness and true peak audio levels. Now play back your track and keep an eye on the integrated value to assess whether the track is loud enough. You are looking to get the integrated value to hover around -14 LUFs, and you want to make sure the TP, true peak, value is approx -1.5 dB. This helps ensure your video is loud enough, but that any peaks in sound are not distorted. For the integrated value, usually you just need to adjust the volume on the mixer for the relevant audio track. For the true peak value, you may find that there are loud parts that you need to suppress slightly. To do this, you can apply a limiter to the audio track. I will be doing a separate video about audio soon. Go to the delivery page. Here you can select the file and output type of your edit. I tend to just use custom export. Provide a file name and then select where you want to save the output on your drives. For the most part, you want to use single clip, as this will export one video file for use on YouTube or wherever you intend to publish it. For YT, I tend to change to MP4 H.264 and NVIDIA encoder, as I have a NVIDIA GPU. Choose your resolution and frame rate. This by default will match your project settings. I won't go through quality as this is a quick start guide. At the bottom you will see a timeline. If you want to just export a small section of your timeline as a test, you can set in and out points on the timeline. Right-click and select your in and out points. Ensure that at the top of the timeline you change render to in-out range. Click Add to Render Queue at the bottom and you will see this appear on the render queue on the right-hand side, ready to go. Click Render All and all the jobs queued will be rendered to your chosen file location. Any questions, put them in the comments and I will try to address them. Please like and subscribe.